These are 9 reasons why people are moving away from Idaho or choose to not make the move here at all. We're gonna dive into each of those so you can decide if Idaho is the right place for you to make the move if you're coming from out of state. If this is your first time to the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe and hit that like button and hit the bell so you get notified every single time that a new video drops just like this, where we go over everything you need to know about living here in Idaho, everything about relocating and moving to Idaho. That's what we cover on this channel. I moved from San Diego, California. I love helping people just like you make the move here to Idaho, and I give you tons of information on this channel so you can decide if Idaho is the best place for you, specifically the Boise, Idaho, Treasure Valley area, and to help you find the right neighborhood and the right suburb. I have tons of videos on this channel to help you make that decision. And if you do decide to make the move here, all you gotta do is reach out via the contact information on the screen below, and we'll set up a Zoom call to go over the best area and time frame for you. First reason up is the traffic here in the Boise, Idaho area. Now, if you're moving from a place like California, traffic probably won't be nearly anything like what you're used to, but if you've lived here for quite a while, you have seen the population really grow throughout the Boise and Treasure Valley area, and you might be getting fed up with it and deciding to move away. The infrastructure just isn't quite there for the population growth. They are working on expanding the freeways, but you have to understand a lot of these roads were 2-lane country roads, farm roads essentially, that have been converted into lots of subdivisions and just a lot more traffic. Now, depending on where you're located, the traffic may not be terrible, or of course, during certain times of day, it can get bad. I mean, there are 2-lane roads here where if you're trying to make a left-hand turn during rush hour traffic in the morning or in the afternoon during school pickup hours, good luck. You might as well turn right and find another place to loop yourself back around. And if you're moving more out into the suburbs, like a place like Nampa or Caldwell, and you have to get on I-84, the only freeway we have running through the Treasure Valley, you could really get stuck in traffic, especially if there's an accident. Or you could get stuck at roundabouts like we have in this video here, where you just time it wrong and you can get stuck for a while. But if you're able to plan your day so you don't have to get out during rush hour traffic too often, probably won't be a big deal. And depending on where you live, like I live in Southeast Nampa, there are many different routes that I can take to get to where I want to go, and I can avoid that traffic. Now, related to this is our second one, as there are a lot of suburbs here in the Treasure Valley area. You've got, of course, Boise, Idaho, and then you've got Meridian, Eagle, Kuna, Nampa, Star, Middleton, Caldwell. So if you end up in the suburbs, you may end up driving a lot further to get to some of the amenities that you want to get to. Now, of course, all of those suburbs, they do have all their own shopping and amenities, but you may not be 5 minutes away. You may have to drive 10, 15, 20 minutes to get to the Costco or Home Depot. For instance, Nampa has its own Costco and Home Depot and Lowe's and Target, but it's basically shared right on the border of Nampa and Caldwell. So for me, I live about 20 minutes from Home Depot, and if you're like me, I always say no project's complete until you've gone to Home Depot 3 times. So it takes 20 minutes just to get there and 20 minutes back. So it can extend your projects out if you're trying to get to Home Depot or just trying to get out to go grocery shopping. If you're in a suburb like Meridian, of course, you've got Home Depot there in South Meridian. You also have a Home Depot in Eagle. So depending on where you're at in Meridian, it might be faster to head into Eagle to get to Home Depot. There are also a couple Costco's around. You've got Costco, of course, in Nampa. We also have Costco in North Meridian and then a Costco in Boise. Again, depending on where you are, it might be faster for you to go to the Costco in Boise rather than the one up in North Meridian, just because it could take you 20, 25 minutes to get there if you're all the way down in South Meridian, versus 10, 15 minutes to get to the Costco in Boise. So just be prepared. If you do end up in a suburb, you may have to drive a little bit further to get to the things you want to do. Third one up is a lot of construction is going on around throughout the Treasure Valley. And sometimes the locals don't love all that new construction, which of course brings with it a lot of people. But something you got to keep in mind with the new construction, which can be really frustrating, and I spent a lot of time in new construction communities, is really easy to get a nail in your tire. So you got to be prepared that if you're living in a new construction community, be prepared to get those tires plugged. Now, is someone gonna move out of the Treasure Valley because of that? Maybe, if it happens enough times. Next reason up is the weather. We get very cold weather here in the winter times, but it can vary quite a bit. But generally speaking, you gotta plan for the winter times to be really cold, likely in the 20s and 30s most of the winter. Now, this past winter was actually really mild. We had a lot of days, and it's gonna sound crazy, especially if you're coming from California. I came from San Diego, some of the best weather in the lower 48, but we would have days in the 40s, 50s, and 60s here in the Treasure Valley. Now, I know in San Diego when it drops in the 60s, that's beanie weather, jacket weather, winter coat weather. Here, if it's in the 60s, you're gonna be in short sleeves. Now, the weather is a lot drier here versus a little bit more humid on the coast like it is in California. So it really does feel warmer, and you do get used to the colder temperatures. So when it warms up into those 40s, 50 degrees, it does feel a bit warmer, but you have to be prepared for it being cold. You're probably gonna spend a lot more time indoors than what you're used to coming from California during the wintertime. So that can come with some seasonal depression because you're indoors so often. Now, in Boise and Treasure Valley area, we're in South Idaho, is nothing like North Idaho, where it can get socked in for months. It does get super cold. It snows a ton. The seasonal affect disorder up in North Idaho is a much bigger thing than it is down here. Now with that, we do get snow, but we only get about 16 to 20 inches in the Treasure Valley every single year. Every once in a while, we do have a big snowstorm that comes through. Back in 2017, I was not here for that, but there was Snowmageddon where it dumped a couple of feet and it got really cold and it lasted for about a month or two from what I understand. Now, back in January of 2024, we did have another big storm system come through and it dropped about 2 feet over 3 days. Now, after about a week, it was completely melted off because it had warmed up quite a bit. Honestly, it was kind of fun because normally we only get about 1 to 3 inches at a time. So to get about 2 feet of snow was pretty fun to see. If you could, drop a comment down below. Let me know, where are you moving from and what has you thinking about making the move to Idaho? I love seeing where people are coming from and I love knowing why they're moving here. And related to the weather is the heat. It does get really warm here in the summertime. So you gotta be prepared for that, especially if you're coming from a milder climate like coastal California. It can get into the hundreds. And it's certainly going to be in the 80s, 90s, and hundreds for most of the summertime. Now, the summertime, you're probably looking like July through early September is really the hottest months. When I first moved here, there was about 6 weeks over 100 degrees. It was breaking records. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, where did I just move? Did I just move to Phoenix? I didn't want to move to Arizona because I didn't want it to be that hot. We just went to the river a lot, went to splash pads. We do got a lot of good air conditioning here, so it was fine. But this past year was actually much more mild while the rest of the country was in huge heat waves. We only had a few days over 100. Most of it was in the 80s and 90s, a lot more bearable. But that is a reason that people leave because they like that coastal California environment they're used to, and they just can't deal with the heat. Next up is allergies. There are a lot more allergies here in the Treasure Valley. I have dealt with more sinus problems since moving here than I ever expected to have. So it's something that you gotta be aware of. You may not be affected at all, but it could be a thing for you. Next up is the type of bugs that we have here in Idaho. I get asked this all the time. What kind of bugs do you have? Are they crazy? They're not too crazy, but we do have a lot of flies. Fly season is definitely a thing come summertime, and it really lasts, again, until it cools off, really in kind of September, October timeframe. And it's gonna depend on where you are. If you're in the more suburban, built out areas, probably fewer flies. As you get more rural, there are a lot more farms around here. There's cattle, there's horses. You're gonna get a lot more flies. I haven't had any horse flies really. I mean, occasionally get 1 or 2, generally just your typical house flies. There's just a lot of them. I also get asked if we have a lot of mosquitoes. It really depends on the season and again, where you are. If you're more rural, there are a lot of mosquitoes. If you're more in the urban areas of the Boise and Treasure Valley area, there's a lot less mosquitoes, and they do spray and abate for mosquitoes. So there can be times right when the mosquito season starts in the spring that there can be a lot of mosquitoes, but then they can quickly go away once they've been abated. The other question I get is, what kind of spiders do you have here? Are they big and scary? Well, we do have black widows, which are common in California, and we have wolf spiders, which are basically like a garden spider. They're more just annoying, leave a lot of webs. We also have hobo spiders. Those are probably a little bit more dangerous from what I understand from black widows. So I recommend spraying for the spiders just to get rid of them. I've got a great bug guy that takes care of all that for me, and then it's not a problem at all. Now, another reason why some people are leaving Idaho is because there's no real cap on property taxes. So if you're a local, you could be getting priced out of your home because of the property taxes, because of how high home values got here in the past few years. Now, there are some restrictions, and the legislature has recently passed some relief for the property taxes. Generally speaking, you're gonna be looking to be paying probably around 0.5% to 1% of your purchase price of your property tax. Now, there is a $125,000 homeowner exemption. So let's just say you buy a $500,000 home, you take $125,000 off that, so you're gonna get taxed on $375,000. Now, the county actually assesses your home, so it's not actually what you paid on, it's what the county thinks it's worth. Usually it comes in low, sometimes it can come in high. If it comes in high, you gotta negotiate with them and get it back down to the actual price. And finally, things are changing here in Idaho, and a lot of locals don't like it. They don't like all the Californians moving in, the people from Oregon, Washington, everywhere else, and changing their great state. So if you are coming here to Idaho, just, maybe leave some of the ideas you got behind, bring with you the best ideas you got, and let's keep Idaho, Idaho. I get lots of comments on my videos here. There's probably comments stacking up already here of, hey, don't California my Idaho, stay out of here, Idaho's full. So, a lot of people that are moving here are conservative. Let's just keep Idaho the way it is and help keep Idaho the way the locals want it to be. Idahoans love their hunting, their fishing, their freedom, just their way of life. So let's all help keep it that way. If you're looking to make the move here to Idaho, all you gotta do is reach out to me via phone, text, or email. My contact information is on the screen right here. I get people all the time, just like you and you and you and you, and I absolutely love helping you make the move here to Idaho. I'm a 3rd-generation San Diegan that made the move here to Idaho. I was fed up with what was going on in California, the woke politics, and frankly, it was a lot more affordable here and just a better way to live. better place to raise my kids and enjoy life. So if that's you and you're looking to make the move here, just reach out. If you are looking to explore more about the Treasure Valley, all you can do is watch this video right here. We dive in a lot deeper on that video, of course, and I'll see you on the next video.